Okay, so we are moving along with Bootstrap. In the last video, we looked at how to add components to the page, things like cards and list groups. And in this video, we're going to talk about a specific component, which is the carousel. So carousel is just what Bootstrap calls a slideshow or a slider. So we're going to get something that looks like this, and we can do this with it. So a really quick note on slideshows on the web. In general, slideshows on the web are a little bit frowned on right now. Kind of the trend has been to move to just having large image galleries. So if you think about how journalistic stories tend to look, or kind of nicely laid out New York Times style journalistic stories, a lot of times we just see big full width images with captions. And I agree with that. I think that's a nicer way to present your images. One thing that we'll talk about in a minute is if I use a slider, all my images have to have the exact same ratio here, width by height. So that kind of limits it. Also, we used to see sliders a lot on home pages, right? To kind of feature different parts of the site. And all the research that I've seen lately is that that's less effective than just having large images and kind of calling out each section of your site in a different way. But I am going to really quickly cover slideshows because there are times when we would want to use them. So just like with the other components, I'm going to use this kind of like a menu. So I don't like this one because it doesn't have controls. This one has controls. That's better. Maybe I want these little guys at the bottom. Maybe I want captions. But for this demo, I'm just going to pull this. I'm going to copy the code, and I'm going to drop it into one of my columns. So I just pasted this here. It's inside this column. Now, we're really starting to get a lot of divs here, okay? So you're gonna have to be pretty smart about reading this and kind of understanding it. So it looks like I have a div called carousel inner, and in that div, I have divs with class carousel item. So it makes sense to me that these are the different things that slide. And it looks like if I want an image, all I have to do is drop the src into here. So I'm going to pause the video real quick and put in some image sources. Okay, so all I did was drop in some image sources right here. I'm not going to touch anything else. I would change the alt tags, obviously. And when I go to my page, my carousel is taking up my entire column, and it seems to be working, okay? So let's say I wanted to add another slide to my slideshow. All I'm going to do is copy this carousel item, bring it down, and paste it in and change my src. Now, one thing that you really need to understand is that when we're working with a slideshow, all of my images need to be the same dimensions, or at least the same ratio, okay? So if you're in Photoshop and you're cropping, set a constant set of dimensions that you're gonna crop to, like 1200 wide by 800 tall or something. This one is vertical, so if I copy it and I bring it into that last item right here, we can see what that looks like and why we don't wanna do it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this is not good, and all my content below it's going to move. So just don't do this. All right, one last thing about slideshows. If your slideshow is not working, you need to make sure that you have this JavaScript code at the bottom. So again, this comes from the starter template. All we did was copy it from Bootstrap, but the carousel is one time when these scripts are actually going to be used. You don't need to know anything about them. They just need to be there. All right.